Good morning. It's September 11th, and I have told you guys that I've been getting a lot of signs, and the universe is speaking to me. And I got woken up this morning at 7:07. My light's been coming on when I need to know something. That's been one of the signs that I've been getting lately. And I turned it off, and then it came back on. And the fan sped up and then it turned back off. By the way, we've had electricians come out here and check everything, and there's nothing wrong with the wiring. As a matter of fact, I went a 2-week period without it, and then all of a sudden the last couple of days the light has been coming back on again because it wants me to pay attention. So this morning I was sitting here in meditation, and I've told you guys about our chakras. And they each one of them means something. Your throat chakra, that's speaking your truth. As I was sitting here, I felt like there was something closing in on my neck. And I knew that I had to speak a truth. And it was hinted at yesterday. But today's the day that I get to share this. This is for anybody that's dealing with abuse. So I'm going to tell you my story. Okay, so let's just jump on in. I grew up in a home where there was, drug and alcohol abuse, a lot of mental, emotional, and even physical abuse. I don't know the extent of the physical abuse between my parents because I don't remember my mother having black eyes on numerous occasions. Okay, I don't know that I ever physically saw that they were constantly fighting. So anyway, I was daddy's little girl, okay? And so I was protected from that side of him because I believed everything my daddy told me, and it wasn't until he left when I was 10 that things kind of started getting rocky between he and I as a teenager, But I'm going to explain real quick how those of us that are potential empaths, people pleasers, codependents, okay, we usually attach onto addicts and or controllers because that's where we get our validation. So by serving them and pleasing them, they're like, oh, you're so wonderful because you're doing all these things. But as soon as you don't do that, and as soon as you don't meet, you don't do what they want you to do, what do you think they do? They're going to try certain avenues. They'll try to, emotionally or mentally manipulate you to try to get you to do what they want. But then if that doesn't work, what do? They move on to physical abuse. So I think I was about 13. And I think that was the first time my mother, I think I almost got into a fist fight with my mom once. And then she sucker punched me in the back of my head at one point because she wasn't happy. I've always been very outspoken. As much as I wanted to be a people pleaser and I wanted people to accept me and love me, I've always been very outspoken, and that strong side of me, it's like I always had that inner struggle. And then my dad, I'm feeling my neck again. Then my dad, when I was 15, I remember he, I can't remember the circumstances, but he literally threw me around the room and then put me up on the wall by my neck. I literally lifted my feet up off the ground. And that's the only time I ever cut myself. I cut myself that night because the only thing that would calm me down was blood. So coming from that type of background, what most of us do naturally is we get into relationships that follow those same patterns. And so when I got into, even though I had gotten into church when I was 15, 16 years old and moved down to South America, just because I was removed from those circumstances doesn't mean that I was healed mentally or emotionally. So what narcissists do, abusers, or people with those types of patterns, is they love bomb you. They see somebody that they're like, oh, she's going to be able to meet my needs, right? And they love bomb you, and they lavish you with gifts or whatnot. And so my ex-husband did just that. And I was expected to have sex every single day for the first 3 years of my marriage. And even when I was on my period, I was expected to give blowjobs. So when I finally started realizing when I was about 24 years old that I was like, wait, I need to heal from all this stuff, and then this isn't right. And so when that started coming to my mind, I literally was like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And he shook his fist in my face and told me he would have never married me had he have known that. But as a good Christian wife, as any of you that are in the Christian faith would know, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us, right? We can make it through the hard times, and there's hope. He can change, he can grow, right? He can evolve. And plus he was in seminary. He was going to school to be a pastor. So there was hope, right? So we ended up moving over to the coast, Ormond Beach, and we started having children. Okay, so I focused all of my attentions on my children, and we kept things pretty well. I kept the boat from rocking too hard. But then as the children got older and, things started getting a little bit, I started feeling very suppressed in a lot of ways. And I started realizing that my needs weren't getting met. But those of us that are people pleasers, our needs, we push them to the side. Our needs don't matter. And even when we do communicate it, it's like you're being too sensitive. You're and I literally did everything around my house. The only chore that I really gave him was to take out the trash. And even then I had to ask sometimes multiple times for him to have the trash taken out. That was very frustrating, But you know what, Tara? Don't complain, because you don't want to be a contentious wife, right? Don't complain. You just do what you're supposed to do. Fall in line. By the way, in all of this, breastfeeding my children, doing everything, I ended up getting my AA. My youngest, Lucius, was 4 months old when I finally finished up my AA. That was a tough time. It was hard, but I did it. I'm so proud of myself. So proud of myself. So I'm not going to go into all the details, but there was a reason why we ended up leaving the church. And because we were actually potentially planning on moving to Israel. That didn't happen because I decided, I was like, I can't do that. I don't want to move my small children. They were 2, 4, and 6 at the time, all the way across the world, for you to go to school and me to do what? Only focus on the kids. Don't get me wrong, my kids are my life, but I was going to be a lot. Well, that caused a lot of resentment. Okay. So, and this was, I told a story not too long ago about when I went out and got drunk. This was during that time, by the way, and met the homeless man. That's when I was still seeing my therapist at the time. And that's when they diagnosed me bipolar. Because, of course, it was me. I was the problem. I was the only one with the problem. And I was always willing to work on myself and do the work. And, yeah. So I got to the place where I started healing, and I started seeing the truth, guys. I started seeing the truth, and I started going, this isn't right. I'm not overly sensitive, and my emotions and my all of it's being ignored. And so because I started healing in that regard, he couldn't control me mentally and really emotionally, but he still had the Bible, right? Because we were still in the Christian faith. Well, then I started moving away from that, and I started learning the truth about different things. I started realizing, no, that's not okay. So he couldn't manipulate me with the Bible anymore either. So what do you think he started doing? Feeling that tightness on my throat again. He started physically abusing me. It got bad, guys. It got bad. I think it happened between 5 or 6 times. Choking, hitting me across the face. I lost hearing in this ear for about 2 months. Thank God, it's fine now. This whole side of my face was bruised. My kids have all seen this. My kids all seen this, and I think Clementine and even Eden have even potentially witnessed him putting his hands on me. The last time he It wasn't him hitting me, but he got very, very aggressive with me in front of all 3 of the kids, and that's when I finally decided to leave. Now, I've also had the question asked, why do I not have my children with me? I'm not worried about him abusing my children physically. I never reported the abuse, okay? I never put my hands on him either. Let me get that straight. Never once did. Punched a dresser, but I didn't punch him. And he was a teacher at their school. He would have lost his job. He would have been arrested. I was not financially able to take care of my children. I raised them, by the way. I was a stay-at-home mom for 9 years. Those are my kids. Hardest thing I ever had to do was leave. I finally opened up with a friend, and they're like, Tara, if you don't get out of there. And I struggled with that. I struggled really, really bad. And I didn't think, because it's been, 3.5 years now since I left. I didn't think it was going to be this long. So he quickly filed for divorce, which, okay, whatever. And yeah, there's been a lot that's happened since then. He now has my children. By the way, he told my children that the reason why he abused me is because I told him to. Because I wouldn't stay on the ground, I'd stand back up. And I'd say, if it makes you feel like a man, why don't you do it again? And he would hit me again. So he told the kids that he did it because I told him to. And now he has them believing that I'm mentally unstable. Because what happens when you go against a narcissist? They try to make your life a living hell. These last 3.5 years, guys, when I tell you I've been through some shit in my life, I've been to hell and back. I didn't let it get me down, though. Nope. No, I came out stronger than ever. And I'm going to help millions of you. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the abuse. It's the only thing that would have got me to leave. And even though my children aren't talking to me right now, that's just temporary. That's just temporary. And who knows? Maybe me telling my story will, it's funny. I have a book in there that says, Mom, we want to hear your story. And so I've been writing down my stuff in there. So with that being said, this message is for somebody that needs to hear this. Oh, my life's just getting started. This is a lot. Listen, I'm not telling you guys this from an unhealed spot. Like, I'm okay. I have forgiven him. I have forgiven him. I know that he was put there for me to see who I truly am, because I wouldn't be in the place and the position that I'm in, and I wouldn't be able to have the impact that I do had I not gone through those things. Okay? So if you're in a situation, yes, you need to get out of it. You need to find the strength. You should not be there, okay? But at the same time, you need to try to look at it through a different lens. If you stay in that place of resentment and unforgiveness, then you're only punishing yourself. You're only punishing yourself. Yeah. I'm thankful for everything in my life. I'm thankful for my father. I'm thankful for my mother. I'm thankful for everything. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, guys. I can tell you story after story after story of different things that I've endured. I did it in the name of Christ, though. Yeah. We're supposed to suffer. We're not supposed to, life is supposed to be hard, right? No, it's not. So, may this message reach who it needs to reach. My truth has been spoken.